Hey everyone, if you're a home care business owner, many of you have probably asked yourself this question, or at least felt the fear of it creep in somewhere. How can I scale my business without sacrificing the quality of care that my clients expect? See, scaling is exciting, right? You get more money, more revenue, more profit. It means your business is growing, but it can also feel overwhelming because you want to maintain the trust and high standards that got you here in the first place. You got to maintain the brand. How many of you have thought that? In today's video, I'm going to share 3 proven strategies to help you grow your home care business while keeping quality at the heart of everything that you do, and a couple of mistakes that you really need to avoid. Plus, I'm going to share a real life story of a client I work with that doubled their revenue without losing the personal touch that their clients love. So let's dive in. Strategy number 1, you got to build scalable systems. First, you need to build these scalable systems. And what I mean by this is that systems that are repeatable processes that make your business run smoothly, even when you're not directly involved in making it happen. Think about scheduling or caregiver onboarding or recruiting or client intake and even sales or lead generation. First, you got to look at the most efficient system or process for what you're doing. Do you have an SOP, or what's called a standard operating process? And is what you're doing, is it actually working and driving the results that you need? So for example, with recruiting, do you have your recruiting dialed in with a solid process? Do you have KPI set up? Do you have the right person in the seat? Recruiting, it's one of the major drivers inside of your business. You've got to get it down. So is sales, right? These things are the major drivers in any home care business. So you should first focus on doing these things well and having a system that can create repeatable results for you. When we talk about efficiency in your recruiting or scheduling or other internal processes, you got to look at what tasks are you doing over and over again that could possibly be automated, could possibly be delegated, could possibly be streamlined or even outsourced. So for example, one of my clients was growing fast, but she was completely overwhelmed, trying to make sure her recruiting was dialed in so she could ensure that she had enough quality caregivers. First, we looked at her recruiting process to ensure that she was optimizing her lead flow. Then we set up some automations where caregivers were reminded about their interviews and what they needed and got them excited about the opportunity. And this ultimately drastically improved her caregiver interview show-up rate by about 22%. Then she set up some KPIs for her recruiter so that there was more accountability. This helped her scale her company without all the chaos. The second strategy is to build what we call feedback loops and to prioritize communication, both with your clients and your caregivers. As your business grows, you might feel like it's harder to stay connected to everyone, but it's absolutely essential. When I talk about feedback loops, I'm talking about ways to measure how well you're doing at delivering on the quality and your promise. See, if you're the owner and you're the one doing all of this, you're not going to be able to scale. You'll become the bottleneck. So you have to empower and trust your team. If you can't do that, maybe either one, you don't have the right team, or maybe you need to get feedback loops that might look like client and caregiver satisfaction surveys, supervisory visits, feedback meetings with clients and caregivers. You need something to tell you how you're actually doing. It also means staying proactive, checking in regularly, asking for feedback, and addressing concerns before they grow to become big problems. It's kind of like what I call having your finger on the pulse. And it's about creating an environment where both your caregivers and your clients, that they all, and your team too, your internal team, that everyone feels valued and heard. The key is in your management system, if you have one. This is where you take all of this information, like the KPIs and the surveys and the feedback loops, and you use that to help determine your strategic plans. The same client implemented regular client satisfaction calls and caregiver feedback surveys. This simple step helped them identify potential issues early on and build stronger relationships with both her clients and her team. The result? Her retention rates improved for both the clients and for the caregivers, which meant fewer headaches, higher profitability as she scaled the company. Now, the third strategy, it's another important one. It's to hire and train with your mission, your vision, your values in mind. See, as you scale, you'll need to bring on more caregivers and possibly more office staff. But the thing is that growth can't come at the cost of just hiring anyone to fill the gaps, which is what a lot of home care agency owners do. They get desperate and they just hire. It's critical to hire people who align with the company's mission, the vision, the values. One way to do this is to weave your mission into every step in the hiring and training process. So for example, in interviews, Ask candidates specific situational questions to see how they'd handle specific challenges. Do they align with your values? Do they have the same values that you have for the company? Is there alignment? If you don't hire them, if you don't have these values, if you don't measure for them, you're going to hire people that don't fit and they become anchors for the business. And with caregivers, remember, they're ultimately your product. They're representing your company. Don't hire just to hire. Hire for quality and for people that align with who you are as a company and how you want to represent your company. Let me tell you a little bit more about Sarah's story because I think it shows you exactly what's possible when you implement these strategies. When I first started working with Sarah, she was running a home care business. Revenues were about $1.5 million. She wanted to grow to $3 million, but she was afraid that scaling would lead to unhappy clients, caregiver burnout, and more stress for her. She had to have her hand in everything. But by focusing on building systems, creating feedback loops, and hiring better, this client was able to scale revenue while keeping her client satisfaction scores high. And here's the best part. She didn't feel like she was drowning in her business anymore. She created a team, she created systems that allowed her to step back and then just focus on long-term strategy, right? The working on the business. Her clients were happy, her caregivers felt supported, her business was thriving, and she was no longer the bottleneck inside of the business. So if you're ready to scale your home care business without sacrificing quality, remember these 3 things. Build scalable systems, create feedback loops with clients and caregivers, and hire more intentionally. If you want more tips and strategies like this, or you want help implementing these ideas inside of your business, and more importantly, you want a management system that's going to help you integrate all of this into your business, then just shoot me a quick message. Also, please, if you can, like this video if you found it helpful, subscribe to my channel, and if you know someone struggling with this stuff, please share it with another business owner who needs to hear it. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.